My name is Everett Harris. I'm incarcerated in Centralia Correctional Center out in Centralia, Illinois. I'm 42 years old, and I've been sentenced to 98 years in prison. No murder convictions, no violent history, no background, first-time offender. And I'm trying to do everything I can to get my story out there to prove that I am wrongfully convicted of charges that I am convicted of. Be brutally honest, a lot of these young guys' minds is like is in the same place all because they haven't been through what I'm going through. There's a lot of guys down here who are sentenced to 3 years at 50%, and they did like 9 months in the county jail. So they time here up in IDOC is not long at all, and then we out a lot of times of this day here. But up in those other prisons I was in, it's not like this at all because it was all maximum. Everything was maximum lockdown, 23 hours a day. Now and now, we have to hold each other up because there's a lot of discouraging moments and there's a lot of letdowns in the court system. Now I was down there in Stateville Correctional Center. It was very bad there. I'm talking about rats, roaches, mice, birds, mold. It was rust. It was rust water, and we was confined in our cells 23 hours a day, and we had to make the best of that by educating ourselves on the law. It's a long list of like schooling and programs where it's like me, I got a lot of time. I'd be at the bottom of the list, even though it was guys down there with time like that, but it was a lot of guys ahead of me with like 40 years and 60 years. I'm way in the 90s, almost in the 100 area. So with guys down there with 50 years who were ahead of me on these wait lists and everything of that nature. And it was hard all because you in a cell with another guy all day long. And me, I did a lot of praying, and I leaned on my grandmother for mental strength and support because she been in church her whole life, and we are strong believers in God. When the judge had sentenced me, months later, he was removed off the bench due to race and bias allegations. And he said a lot of bias and opinionated comments on my trial. When they had the gun up in evidence box, what was used or whatever, he told them they didn't know how to operate the gun. He checked the clip of what they were trying to do, and the prosecution was having a problem with it. And the judge said in front of the jury, "Get a gun to Mr. Harris. He know how to work it very well. It's his gun. Give it to him." He was saying, "We are hopelessly deadlocked on all counts. We cannot come up with a unanimous verdict, and this is in my transcripts." And that judge, he told them, "Stay back there until you all come up with the right. This is. I am not letting you all from back there. You all going to be back there all weekend. Stay back there. I'm not letting you all back there. Come up with an answer. Come up with the right answer." He just scrapped under my clothes, and the judge said, "Okay, to let the record show." He described Mr. Harris wearing a gray shirt. Oh, and yeah, he have a whole lot of tattoos all down his hands. This is the judge saying that? Why are you saying that? That's not your job to make opinionated comments about me or whatever. Your job is to enforce the law. I wrote Kim Fox's office at the time, explained everything to her when she was in office as the head of the state's attorney. And she told me, I'm on my appeal right now. She will look into it after I have exhausted all of my remedies, which I didn't. And I wrote her again, and she never wrote me back. And now she was moved out of office. I feel that she failed because anytime a judge, a police officer, or anyone that have a badge do anything outside of their guidelines and they get demoted, everything previous or recent supposed to be investigated. It's like if an officer shoot a guy in the back, he will be investigated for excessive use of force and see if you have any complaints and everything of that nature. While he on administrative leave, things of that nature. This judge was moved off the bench due to racist and biased comments. That one allegation did not remove him. It had to be a plethora of allegations which did that. And my case couldn't have been overlooked all because it was a media case, a high-profile case. It was on the news and the newspapers. And it just happened. He just sentenced me to 98 years in prison. No murder convictions. No violent history. First-time offender, I was working a job. And he literally gave me a death sentence, and my case was not investigated for no wrongdoing. How that slipped through the cracks. I was locked up anyway. Got to had a double murder and attempt. He had like 65 years. Premeditated murders, 70 years. I have no murder, no violence, no guns, no nothing on my record, no robberies, no nothing. And they gave me 98 years. How was that possible? 98. I can't accept that. I never stop trying. Never stop. I never lose faith. Never. I always had hope. I'm full of it. I got a lot of fighting, and I will be out one day. I think it will take everyone to come together as one and confront this situation by exposing the truth of the reality to our cases and conditions within that DOC. Illinois, once again, it's my opinion, is a warehouse to just house guys and just give us unreasonable prison time, you know? And it needs to be rehabilitation in these places. And another thing is they got to give guys jobs, to really be honest. When you do a application, it always asks you a felon, you a felon. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of felons out there who will work. Because I'm one of them, I had a job. I was working at the airport. I had a very good job. I was loving my job. I was working 60 hours a week. I was loving that job. They need to give to these guys and these women a second chance at rehabilitating themselves into the world. Because the rehabilitation in the prison system, I don't really believe in that, to be honest. I swear I don't. It's a joke. When I was housed in Danville Correctional Center, there is not one camera on their premises, not one. And the OCOs down there was very aggressive, very disrespectful, and very unprofessional. I done watched them slam guys down to the floor all because the guys didn't want to pair it up, or guys was outside in line talking and they asked for your IDs because they run a lot of disciplinary tickets. And the guy was hesitant on giving them the ID, and he tried to walk off like, man, I'm not giving you my ID. And this officer, he grabbed this little guy and threw him down to the ground, choked him up, and wrote him a ticket and took him to SED for assaulting him when the whole time he never assaulted this officer. And there was another incident when I was down there in Stateville Correctional Center when it was a fight. It was a gas fight, and the police ran up and tried to break it up, and they started beating up the guy who was winning the fight, and they beat him up pretty bad at the point that they had to transfer him out the penitentiary because they didn't want to hold him there. And I heard that they wanted to send him out there Menard, but they wouldn't accept him because he was real beat up. And I believe they messed around, and I believe he went to New Jersey. They accepted him. And that's what I mean about rehabilitation in the penitentiary. IDOC paints a false perception of rehabilitation. They not giving us these tools. We have to rehabilitate ourselves the best way that we know how. Because everything in these prisons, 9 out of 10 is aggressive behavior from the COs. You know? So if a gather doesn't have a strong mind and a will, and he want to leave up out of here and make better for himself, it's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. I feel that it needs to be some cameras in every penitentiary. How can a warden even say we are concerned about our inmates and so if our staff safety and security when there's no cameras? It's females who work in the penitentiary. It's nurses who work in the penitentiary, and they have no cameras. As long as there is no cameras, it's us against them. And 9 out of 10, they gonna win now because once again we are convicted criminals. I don't care what we say, how many of us write our name on the grievance or a piece of paper and say, yeah, he did that or this officer did that and did this. All it takes is 1 or 2 of them, and they're gonna believe their word, all because of their friends is the ones who gonna hit the tickets, or their friends is like a lieutenant, or their friends is a major, things of that nature. We're in a lose-lose situation. SEOs are coming to work every day with their own personal problems on their hands and take it out on these guys in these prisons. I've seen it before. Me personally, it's a blessing. I never had a run-in, a conversation, nothing with no CO staff. I don't have none of my disciplinary history whatsoever. And it's a blessing, and I thank God I never do. So, there needs to be some cameras everywhere. You see how the man in New York was beaten to death, and his trial still going. How is this trial going this long? I was sentenced in like 8 months. How was that? And this guy, his trial is still going. If they sentence them the way they sentence us, if they did bring the hammer down on them, same way they bring it down on us, a lot of change, because they'll be scared and terrified. It's like the officer who murdered Laquan McDonald. I think he did no more than 4 years in the penitentiary, and he home. How was that when he shot him like 16 times? And he didn't harm that officer. I think his name was Jason Van Dyke. He didn't harm him or nothing. He didn't hit him. He didn't touch him. He didn't cut him. He didn't fight him. He didn't throw anything at him or nothing. And he been home. They are giving them pats on the wrist all because they done served and protect allegedly. They need to charge them in the same form and fashion they charge us. And that is the bottom line. And I guarantee you, a lot of them officers, like all of them, it's like all officers in Memphis who had beat that other man up outside like that. And it was on camera. And they was talking and laughing about it, how he was taking their punches. A lot of them guys, I don't even believe they sentenced yet. If they get them guys 30 and 40 years, the same way they doing us at a rapid pace, guarantee you it'll stop because they ain't gonna be able to take that type of time. If one of the police officers get 40 years at 100% how they doing us, it will change. It will change because it'll change. This one, it'd be going on in Minnesota if it was happening. If it wasn't happening like that. If they get that man a murder charge who just did that to Alex Reddy in Minnesota, he shot him in his head and then they shot him 9 more times while he was on the ground, the gun was gone. If they sentence them how they sentence me, I guarantee you all that stuff will change. And that's a fact. My judge, his name is James N. Carroll at the Rolling Meadow Courthouse. This man sentenced me to 98 years in prison with no murder convictions, no violent history. And he made a lot of opinionated, biased comments. He used intimidation on the jury. He used intimidation on the prosecution, and he used intimidation on my lawyers so that he could run his courtroom how he wanted to run his courtroom, which is his way or no way. He forced the jury into a guilty plea. He swayed them with his remarks, with his demeanor. He told my lawyer that no, you don't have the right to object anymore. And even after that, one of the jurors walked up on my lawyer afterwards. I don't know what it was, but my lawyer told me that a juror walked up on her and said, I hope we made the right decision. So I feel that my case needs to be investigated on the mishandling of my judge. And another thing, the woman who appointed me, Melinda Rosales, I feel that she sold me out and swapped me out because the way she handled everything, she was scared and intimidated. I don't think that she ever fought a case like that before with that much magnitude on it. I was charged with numerous bogus accounts. I feel that I served my time for what I did and what I supposed to have been charged for. It's going on 11 and a half years. I'm still here. I'm still going through the fight, struggling, me and my family. I done lost a lot of loved ones. My son, he didn't know which way to turn. He didn't know how to take it, so he wound up in prison. I couldn't hands on father him like I wanted to. And if I get a chance in court, a retrial, to give the truth on what happened that day, it is 100% fact. I will be freed, and once I'm freed, I want to mentor young guys. I just want to speak with them and let them know what I've been through and what's going on as far as the system, how it is. I want to be up in it, mainly up in these inner cities where it's bad at, YMCAs. I want to show up at schools. I want to do the more interviews, like the one I'm doing now.